Hey guys, this is Joe with the Adapt team, and in this video I'm talking about Adapt video switchers. Adapt video switchers are actually very similar to audio switchers. Essentially, we have Adapt modules that are designed for the Crestron DM series of video switchers, whether it's your chassis based or NVX. And then we also have Adapt generic modules for connecting to third-party devices, maybe at Lona or Just Add Power or whatever the case may be. And so we're going to see us use some of these modules in our program today. So if we look at our starting template program, which we've done our save as, we see that we actually, kind of like we had a Swamp audio switcher already in our program, we actually have a DM32x32 in our program. And as you may expect, this module is of course already connected up to all of its appropriate signals in our program. And so again, just like Swamp, if we're doing a DM32 32x32 in our program, then we would actually already be done because this is already filled out and ready to go. Now in my program, I'm using a DM8x8, so I'm going to show you the quickest way to get a 8x8 into my system. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to start with my hardware definition. So I'm going to go back to my configure view. Here I see my DM32x32. Also take note that there are the 4KZ input and output cards and RMCs in this system. So everything is the latest card configuration. And since I'm using an 8x8, what I get to do is I get to just right click on this hardware, go to replace, and then I'm going to find my option for DM8x8. Here it is right here. And what it will do is Simple Windows will essentially downgrade this 32x32 into an 8x8, maintaining all of the input, output cards, and the RMCs that I'm using, which is really, really nice. So now, maybe you've already guessed, the only step that's still left for me is to copy the signals from my old 32x32 module onto my DM8x8 like that. Again, it will complain to me that some signals don't exist, which I already know about. And again, now after deleting that old module, I am now done with this DM8x8 programming. Again, just like audio switchers, I don't care what sources go where or which outputs go where. That's going to be configuration later on. Now, all of the DM chassis type modules, they all auto import onto their hardware exactly like you would expect, right? So all of these modules auto import onto their respective flavor of DM. Now, if you are using DM NVX, there are a couple different routes that you can kind of take. If you are using a director, the XIO director, you're going to simply add your XIO director. Maybe they call it DM XIO, I want to say. There it is. So we'll pick in our director 80, so that's probably what we're using in a residential world. And I can simply pull in whatever size, NVX system maybe I have. So let's just use an 8x8 just as an example. And again, this module will auto import onto my director. So I'll perform that auto import just to let you see. And essentially we're going to treat this XIO director as if it is our virtual DM chassis. I would of course come in here and fill in all of this good info here, and you can see really all that this module has done is linked up our analogs to the analogs on our XIO domain, and this is again just like functions exactly like a virtual DM chassis. And this is if you're using a director, and certainly we've had really good luck deploying systems with directors. However, not every system needs a director or maybe has the budget for a director, and so of course we want to make sure that our modules work with those types of systems as well. And so one of the things that we've done is allowed for just your straight DM NVX cards, kind of individualized. Let's see if we can find this here, DM NVX. We'll go ahead and add just the standalone box here. And so if you are not using an XIO director, you can do one of two things with these Adapt modules. Number one thing that you can do is you can use this XIO routing slot on your NVX, and this is essentially where we get to set the analog video output for this NVX box. If we check out the documentation for this video out signal, it clues us in as to how to use this. This analog essentially just selects the stream from the list of subscribed streams. So the important part to this is that your NVX box needs to have its streams set up correctly, so that, let's say if I throw this an analog value of 3, it's going to pull down this stream from transmitter number 3, or really the third stream in this subscribed streams list, and that's the stream that it's going to take. And so essentially I would take, say if this was RX1, I would take RX1 video source and plop that onto receiver number 1 in VX. And then I would of course have all my transmitters and all my receivers defined at IP IDs in my program, and I would repeat this process for each one. So that's one way to do NVX without a director. This does require you to go into each NVX box and set up its subscribed streams. Maybe you think that that's a bit tedious. Certainly I think so. Having to go to each box to set up streams, and if I ever change those streams or if I add a source, now I have to go and touch each NVX box. Kind of a pain in the butt. And so what our module also allows for is for you to utilize these stream locations. It essentially takes all your TX stream locations, so essentially where are your transmitters streaming to, and then a place for you to hook in your RX stream location. So what is the stream that your receiver should be decoding? And the way we can find these signals is if we double click on our NVX device header here, we have those stream locations coming in and out of our symbol here. And the idea is that a transmitter, you would want to pay attention to the stream location. Let's say if this is transmitter 1, I would have TX1 stream location feedback, and I would plug TX1 location feedback into my module. And then if this was a receiver now instead, I would actually instead plug in RX1 stream location. And this would be what is the stream that this decoder should be pulling down, and that you can put on the output of your NVX module. And so this allows for you to be a little bit more flexible in your DM setup, where now we will take the exact stream URLs that come in from your transmitters, and when a receiver should be looking at any one of these particular streams, we will take that exact URL and forward it onto your decoder without you needing to worry about subscribed streams or anything else. This is definitely the quickest way to get your NVX system up and running. Of course, if you are using a generic module, these generic modules simply have analogs coming out of them. And so again, we have had good luck using various third-party switchers like Atlona, Binary, Just Add Power, all of these types of different third-party switchers with our generic video switcher module. So that will go ahead and do it for our Adapt Video Switchers video. In our next video, we're going to be talking about AV receivers and displays, and we'll see you there. Thanks.